Hi, everyone. Welcome. My name is Meredith. I am one of the PFAFF educators, and I am going to be doing all things lace and scalloped edges and things like that. I think a lot of this might be a refresher, but I feel like the refreshers are always a good thing too. And hopefully it inspires you to want to try something new using some of the techniques that you already use in some of your other projects. So today I'm going to be using the PFAFF Creative Icon 2 with the lace stitches and a couple different embroideries. And so these are exclusive stitches that are available on some of the machines. So you'll just have to check to see if they're available on yours or not. I'll show them to you here in a moment as well on the screen. But we're going to start out with that first, and then we'll go into the embroidery side of it. But before we get started, shout out to Amy in the background. If you have questions or comments or want to see something again, feel free to type that in the chat. Amy is there and she will send those over to me. If we don't know the answer to it, we will figure that out and come back and answer them. If you're watching this later, we check the comments and things like that for about a week or so afterwards. So feel free to add those in there and we'll come back and answer any questions or comments you have. But let's start out with lace stitches first. So if you have ever done lace stitches before, I would love to hear about it, hear what you've done it on, what you've added it to, things like that. It's a really simple stitch that's built into your machine that you can add some dimension to your projects with. So let's show you right here. So if we go under techniques right up here, and then the last category, these are the lace edge stitches. Let's see. I can't know if it's not going to let me zoom in, but we've got 6 different options here for lace stitches. And one thing also that I want to show people, because sometimes when you go to do a new technique, you're like, oh, or if you haven't done the technique in a while, you're wondering, how do I do that? How do I set it up and get going in the right way? So if you touch the I button right here, that is going to bring up this window of how to sew lace edge stitches. But also we can go, we're going to come right up here. I've already got it open. That's why it's up here. So I have instructions for that. And within that, let's go. So it's going to walk you through step by step how to do these lace edge stitches as well. So right here, what they are, and then what you're going to need. So we're going to have the bi-level guide foot, sewing thread, top and bottom. So this is really important too. You want your thread in the top to match the thread in the bobbin, because the edge of the stitch comes off of the material. You want to see it looks more pleasing to the eye to have the same color top and bobbin. You're going to have fabric, and then you're going to have water soluble stabilizer as well. So we go to the next one. We're going to load a stitch. So if you come over here to content, it's going to narrow it down to the only stitches that it's referring to. So we can touch them all right here. We can touch them back on the previous screen, things like that. So you would select the stitch you wanted, and then it's going to give you instructions on how to set it up and get going. I'm going to go through all of that with you today, so we're not going to go through there. So I'm going to close that up for now. But again, a quick little reminder, refresher instructions are going to be right here as well within the little I information symbol. So we're going to start out with just the first one right here. Let's sew it out and see what it looks like. So I have got, where is my little fabric strips? So I've just got some white chino here, just regular cotton type material, and I'm going to fold it over. And so you want to have that fold of the edge. So if you think about it, this is my wrong side. I'm going to draw a line. This is my wrong side of my fabric here. Let's back up just a little bit. And we want to fold up so that our wrong sides are touching, so that we get a good clean fold. And you can definitely press it there if you would like to, or you can just finger press that all the way down just like that. And we're going to turn it over, and we're going to have that fold, wrong side right here with our line and the fold, right along the flange of the bi-level foot right there. But we need to have something on the other side of it as well, so that it's not just stitching into nothing. So we're going to use water soluble. If you use tearaway, you're just going to be picking all those little pieces out of it. I wouldn't even bother doing tearaway. It's not worth it. So we're going to do Aqua Magic, and I have 2 pieces of it here. I have found success with having 2 pieces versus 1, because what happens when you have 1 is it starts to want to like pull and pucker that a little bit, and then it doesn't feed evenly. So 2 pieces of Aqua Magic, and this is just going to wash away. So I'm going to line up the edge, my fold edge right there, and we're going to line it up with the flange. I also have my IDT engaged so that it helps me move that fabric evenly. I've also found that you want to start sewing on the fabric, not off of it and onto it. So whatever piece that you're wanting to add your lace edge to, you want to make it a little bit longer than what your finished piece is going to be so that you can start and have a little bit of that wiggle room to get it going there. So once we get it going, again, we've got the fabric lined up with the flange and we have our 2 layers of Aqua Magic underneath. We have our bobbin and our top that are matching here, and we're just going to start sewing. So what it's doing is it is grabbing the edge of the material, and then it's going to go stitch along the Aqua Magic there. So as you're going, you want to make sure that your material is lined up with the flange of the foot, just like that. It's your little guide to keep things straight, and it's to make sure that when your needle comes back around, it has enough that it's going to grab so that those lace stitches will catch on to the fabric and they won't just come off right there. So let's do a couple more right here. I've got one more and we're going to finish this one like that. And then we're just going to cut. And again, you would go across your entire piece. I'm just doing a couple here to show you. But like that right there. And you see why, well, actually this one started out really well. I found, let me show you a couple of my other ones over here. So I had started here initially, and you can see that it took it a second to get going. This is why, again, I give that little suggestion of having just a little bit of wiggle room, a little bit of extra material, so that once it starts going, everything lines up really nicely. Let me see here. So this one, yep, this is 2 layers here, but it took it just a second to get its routine and its motion going. And for me to get an understanding too of it going back and forth so that I'm not pulling or pushing or anything like that more than what I need to. So that's why I give myself just a little bit of wiggle room there. But once you go across the entire piece, you would take this and you just put this in warm water and it's going to dissolve away and disappear. And you're going to have a good lace, clean finished edge. This is great to add on the cuff of a shirt. I love like ruffle frill shirts, and so to add this just little extra would give it the little extra pizzazz, a little extra something to your garments as well. You can do it there. You can do it along the bottom of a skirt as well, or pant legs, anything like that, to add it in there. So I just love that. You could also, here's a thought too, once you wash this away and you've got your 2 pieces, you could have another piece to where it sort of is in the middle of a seam, and it gives a 3D effect of a seam as well. So any questions, and we'll stitch out another one of these here in a second, but I want to give y'all a second to ask any questions or answer anything like that.
Meredith, did you mention what weight of thread you were using?
So I am just using embroidery thread. So I'm using just rayon. Where's one of my ones over here? Just rayon embroidery thread is what I have right there. So because I'm not holding things together, you don't need to have like a strong thread. You definitely could use a heavier weight thread and give more of an effect if you wanted to. It's really forgiving in that way. You're not securing things together and holding things together with this thread. We're not sewing with it. We're embellishing with it. So you have a little bit of wiggle room with the thread that you use.
Someone in the comments mentioned that she's used a 30 weight and had great luck with it.
Yes, definitely. You could do that as well. Some variegated threads would be really cool to do it with as well. I don't have, I'm trying to think if I've got one over there. Not handy, but that would be cool to do it with the variegated thread as well. Any other questions or comments or times that they've used it?
No other questions.
Okay,
good.
Let's stitch out one of the other ones. So there's some that sort of come back over the material as well and give you a different look. So right over here, these last 2, you can tell that they sort of don't just grab onto the edge like these first couple, they come all the way around. So let's do this next one right here. So again, this is going to probably work out better in my favor because I've already got it started here. But again, it's going to come around and back around as it goes. So once you get the motion of how it's working, you're able to just make sure that everything's lining up well and things like that. Again, lining up the edge of my fabric along that flange so that I have even stitching as it goes around. I've got my IDT engaged to evenly move all of my material. I've got 2 layers of Aqua Magic under here as well. So a couple more here so you can see the full effect. And I've had it where the Aqua Magic starts to bunch up in there. Just stop what you're doing, see if you can get it all smoothed out, and just keep it going. If you have one that sort of just catches a little bit, it'll all fall back into place after that one usually. It's very forgiving in that way. Because once you wash out the Aqua Magic stabilizer and things like that. And there we go. Once you wash all of that out. But look at this. Isn't that really neat? And that could add just a little extra coming up onto your fabric as well too. Let me switch here so you can see a little bit better. So super fun, really easy. I think we forget about these fun technique stitches like this that just add that little extra something to your project and to your garment. So definitely give it a try. You saw how easy it was to do, things like that. So another, we talked about lace and scalloped edges and things like that. So let's talk about just embroidering directly on Aqua Magic Stabilizer. I feel like I've heard in the past that people are intimidated by not physically embroidering on fabric or embroidering or sewing half on fabric and half off of the fabric and onto stabilizer. So I wanted to show you also some endless things where it's just, this is one of them, where it's just on the stabilizer, the wash away stabilizer. So I have one already started here. I've actually done 2 on here. And I have used the endless hoop for this one. I have another one that I didn't, so I'm going to show you a couple different ways. But I wanted to go through design positioning also. I feel like sometimes just having a good refresher on how to do design positioning is helpful as well. So I'm going to, because I know sometimes y'all enjoy it, I'm going to switch over my bobbin. Again, when you are doing lace, you want your bobbin to match your top thread because you're going to see the underside of it. So if I can get this guy, it's copper over there. Come on. Got a long tail. So let's switch this over here. So I've got a blue thread in my bobbin, and I'm going to change my top thread also to the matching one to go with it. It's this fun little blue color. Has anybody done just freestanding lace or endless lace designs like this? And you know, what have you used them for? What success have you found? And then we're going to put on our embroidery foot. I love how easy I can just switch from sewing to embroidery just like that. So we're going to come over here to our screen. We're going to go to embroidery. So this is what we're going to do in a moment. So we're going to delete this guy. And this design that I have in my hoop now is actually one that is on the machine. I found one on the machine, and then I found one in the library as well. So I'm just going to put one of these on here. It doesn't matter where it is. We're going to go, let's make sure we have our right hoop here. We are going to choose the 260 by 150 endless hoop right there. And then we're going to go to stitch out and touch OK. So we're going to attach our embroidery hoop. And I drew with the pen because it was kind of hard to see. I'll show you here in a second. The crosshatch lines with the color I had, it was kind of hard to see a little bit. But I have little notches that are built into the design. You can see right here. And then I've got another one. Let's back this up just a little bit. I got another one right here. So you can line up using design positioning with these little crosshatch marks that is built into the design, or you can line it up with parts of the design. Hold on one second. I'm going to switch this up just a little bit here. Let's see if that's a little bit better. There you go. Now you can see, hopefully. When I zoom in and out, it kind of changes the perspective of it. There we go. Okay. So we're going to be going a little bit between the screen back and forth a little bit. So we're going to go down here to precise positioning. And first what we're going to choose, here's your 4 little steps you have right here. When you see this first one, it's got the flower. That means you're looking at the embroidery design versus the hoop, which is the second one. So when we're looking at the one with the flowers, this first and this third one, we want to look on the screen, not at the hoop and the design down here. We want to look right up here. So, and look, it even has instructions right up here for you. I'm going to minimize those so you can see. But if we find this little crosshatch and we can zoom into that right here, we can see, you see that guy right there? We're going to get it lined up, and we can use our arrows right here to get this lined up exactly where we need it. So I found it on the design on the screen. Now we're going to go to the hoop. So we're going to touch the second step, move the design to a line right here. Now we're going to look at the hoop. So we want to look right here. So I'm going to, again, use the arrows on the screen, but I'm looking on my hoop, not at my screen. And we're going to line our needle up with that corner of the crosshatch there. So let's scoot it over and back just a little bit. So we're able to, having the projection is great, but having the option to really hone in on the specific stitch to get things aligned is even more precise than having that projection. So it's a good option to look at sometimes. So now we're going to come over here to our point number 3. We're going to back up a little bit and look at our whole hoop, because here's our point up here. So let's move our point up here. But instead of getting it aligned with the little crosshatch, let's line it up with one of the points on the design. So I'm going to line it up right here, and I'm going to get it as close as I can. And you notice I don't have to put my finger over that crosshatch to see it, because I can't see what I'm doing if I do that. If I touch anywhere on the screen, it's going to move that right there. So let's lower him over and scoot him up just a little bit right there. So again, I've got the flower, so I'm looking at my screen, I'm looking at my design. Now we're going to go to step number 4, and it's the hoop. So we're going to come back over here to our hoop. And I had that lined up with the little point on the design right here. So we just want to sort of get that lined up. And I know that my material is actually at an angle a little bit. It's coming down and in or outward a little bit. So once you have your first step, let me show you this on the screen. Once you have your first point set, you only have the option to pivot off of that point now. So we have our first point here. Now this next one, I can only turn off of that and pivot off of that point. I can't move the whole thing left or right. That first point is set. It cannot be moved unless I come back over here. So we're basically rotating on the first point now. That's why we only have the arrows left or right. So that's pretty close right there. We're going to come down just a little bit more. And as I say down, it's actually just turning the arrow or pushing the arrow that goes to the right. And I can lower my needle to make sure I have it exactly where I want it. Are there any questions on that? I'm going to do it again on another example, but before I keep moving, I want to make sure that everybody understands what I'm doing.
I don't see any questions about the positioning. Nope.
Okay. Is there anything else, or are you good?
No questions, just comments about what people have used their freestanding lace for.
Okay,
so
awesome.
Lots of great stuff. Camisoles with layered lace and cotton thread. Ooh. Kitchen towels with the same endless lace. Again, 30-weight cotton thread. Yeah, lots of cool stuff. Awesome.
Cotton thread would be really neat to do it into. And I've done some in the past with that, and it works out great as well. So you really do have a lot of grace with the thread that you're using with things like this. So, all right. So back over here, I've got this all set. And now we're just going to touch OK right here on the screen, because we want to have that set with what we're doing. And let's back up a little bit so you can see. So you can see now that my design is not actually, straight on anymore. It's at an angle. And this is, again, a reason why you want to have a hoop that's big enough so that if you don't have your design or whatever in your hoop straight, you have that wiggle room to move things around in there. So just always, we like to be conservative with our stabilizer and, hoop things as small as we can into the smallest hoop. But when you're doing design positioning or things like that, where you want to get things lined up, give yourself some grace and some room so that you can make those adjustments. And it's hard for me because I'm very stingy with the stabilizer too. I'm probably like all of you are as well. So just give yourself a little bit of room, wiggle room to move things around.
Meredith, somebody had a question about the pen marks.
Yes.
How did those, where did those come from? I think she's asking.
Yes. So I had actually added those in. I have my little Frixon pen here. I added them in because the thread, when I did it, it didn't show up as well because it's not like a satin. It's just like 2-3 stitches right there. And it didn't show up very well. So I went in and just manually did it so that you guys could see what I was talking about when you have those little cross line points right there. So that's what the pen marks are, just so you could see it better on screen. Anything else? But the machine will add, the machine added them in, and that's where I knew that that's where they went. And I just moved the stitches out of the way and just drew the little lines over top of them.
No more questions yet.
Okay. So I'm not going to stitch out this whole thing, but I'm going to get it going so that you can see that everything does line up well here. So we're just going to press the start button. And so it did my little cross lines right there, exactly where my lines were. And it's just going to go around. And I want to mention too, I have, stabilizer doesn't last for forever. If you're just using strips of stabilizer or pieces, as long as it fits within the hoop, you can see that right up here, it actually overlaps just a little bit right there. So you can have that overlap as well. And it's going to do this whole bottom part first here, but I'm going to let that run just a minute and then I'll pull it off and show you. But if you run out of stabilizer, you just add in another piece underneath as you move your project upward and along into the next step. I will sometimes also position things so that if I can fit 2 designs into one hoop, that's being more effective as well. So not with this one in particular, but with the other one I'm going to show you, I was able to fit 2 of the designs lined up, and I can get more done at once versus, moving things and redesign positioning. Just go ahead and get those 2 lined up from the beginning. So we're just going to stop there, and I'm going to make note of where I'm at on my stitching out because I'm going to come back to this. But everything is going to be lined back up right along there too. So I can just continue that lace strip and make this as long as I want it to be. Just keep going for however long that I need. And same process that I talked about with the lace edge stitches. You're just going to put this in warm water and it's going to dissolve away really quickly. What I have found success in is I will wash out all this, or I will cut away as much of the stabilizer as I can. So not in between all of the laces, but along the edge. I don't leave all of that on there. I will cut away as much as I can and then soak that. I will let that, I'll move it around in there, get all of that out of there. And then I will start again with another clean bowl of warm water and soak it again, go through and clean it again, because that sticky residue from the Aqua Magic I don't want to say sticky, but it kind of is. It's still sort of there. And so just to get all of that out of there, start fresh again, because once it dissolves away, it still is in that water initially. So I like to have a good, clean, fresh bowl when I do it a second round, and sometimes even a third if I feel like I'm not getting enough. Once you have gotten all of that out, I will get one of my old beach towels or bath towels out, and I will lay it out and put it between there so that it's laying out flat. You want it to lay out flat so that it doesn't, when it dries, it's not in a specific shape. If you want it to be in a specific shape, that would definitely be the time to, before it dries, get it molded around whatever it is you're trying to do or in the shape that you're looking for, so that it will dry more in that shape for you. But that's what I found success when I do it that way. So that is just, we've done the lace stitching. We've done just lace directly on material. But what about having an edge where you want to cut off? So again, not doing an applique in the middle of fabric, but having it to where you cut the edge of the fabric off. When I first did this years ago, I was like, wait, I go ahead and cut this back. Like, I feel like there's no going back once you cut it off, but it's fine. Think about it in the same process that you would do a normal applique. It's going to do that tack down running stitch, and then you're just going to cut away around that. And then again, just have your strip or whatever it is, and we're just going to keep going. You could do it on an endless hoop like I did this other one, or if you don't have an endless hoop and you just have your 360, 200, 360, whatever, and then you just move your stabilizer up. So I would then take this whole piece, move it up. Once I got this next one done, I'm going to show you, and add in another piece of stabilizer, or if my strip was longer, it's not for this one, you could just keep on going. So I have one right here I wanted to show you that was done, but I'm going to go through the process on this one again as well. So here's one here, and this would be great for like a cuff on a sleeve. Again, I'm in the South. I love ruffles. I love lace. I love scalloped edges. I love things like that. And so just taking a work shirt that I already have and undoing that middle seam and adding that on there, or if like I've got the little cap sleeve, sometimes you could definitely add that along the edge as well. Just line it up along the edge, and you've got this great little trim. Goes on the bottom of a skirt, on the bottom of pants too. You could do some denim pants as well and just have it along the edge. And you wouldn't have to finish those pants because it's going to be finished for you. You just have to sew them back up together in that side seam. But that would be super cute as well on the bottom of a pair of pants. So that's this one. But I'm going to show you, I've got this one here, and we're going to go through cutting it and things like that as well. So I'm going to change this thread again because, again, I'm using yellow. And so I want my yellow bobbin to match my yellow thread on top, so that when I wash away the stabilizer, it looks appealing to the eye on both sides there. So any other questions or anything like that so far, Amy? I'm just going through it. Hopefully it's helpful and is giving you the ideas to want to try it, hopefully.
Somebody would like to know which design that the pink scallop was that you just showed on the black fabric, if you happen to remember.
Yeah, I do. I can pull it up. This one I actually got from the library. So I will show you that here. I'm going to pull up the library on circling. Hold on. There it goes. That was true. So we're going to go back here. That's okay. We're going to delete this guy. So this was, again, a design built in on the machine. It's just under frames and borders. You can find some other ones like that under there as well. But we're going to go to the next flower down, which is going to be the embroidery library. And it is now, it still says My Sonette up here, but it is the Creative 8 library. It's all the same. Nothing's changed except the name. That's really the only thing that's changed. So we're going to come up here and spell scallop. And you can search in the same way on your computer as well, on your laptop or whatever it may be. Search. And I've got all of these different options right here. So this first one that I showed you that was in the purple that was already done, I'll pull this up so you can see that, is going to be that one right there. Right like that. So really simple, really easy. What it did first was it did that tack down stitch right there, and I went and cut, and then it came back around and did, I think it's only two colors, this one is. So you don't have the option to, so it's two colors. So with this one, this color right here and the satin edge are all one color. What you could do if you wanted these to be two different colors is you could take this design, send it to the Creative 8 embroidery software on your computer, and you could go in there and edit and actually separate them and make them two separate colors if you wanted to. So like this one I'm about to show you has two colors on it. So there's the orange and the yellow, and that's just how the design was. So any questions on that design before I move on from that one there?
I don't see any questions yet.
Okay, perfect. So we're going to come back up here to the Creative 8 library, type in scallop, and we're going to scroll down. You could definitely change it too. If you have a specific width or height that you're looking for, you could narrow it down a little bit more. So we're going to go to delete this one. So I have it right here. And again, I'm just going to leave it wherever it's out on my screen. It doesn't matter because we're going to come over and we're going to design position it in. So we're going to, well, let me show you something really quick. So what you could have done is we need to change our hoop. So if you, with your machine, you get the 360 by 260 as your big hoop there. What you could do is you could line these up. So let me show you just how to line these up to get more of them in one hoop. So we're going to duplicate that and scroll down here. Then we're going to zoom in. Click off of it. And you see how we just need to get these lined up. So we can come over here, design, edit, and just scooch it over. Just like that. And it helps to click off of it so that you can see where those points are. So there you go. So there would be two of them. And then if I zoom back out. So that would be the way to get two of them done in one hooping. You just line them up like that, really easy. You can stitch them out. But we're just going to do one for today because that's all I have room for on my hoop. So just scooch him wherever on the screen. We're going to go to stitch out. Oh, hold on. I need to change my hoop because I do not have that 360 by 260 hoop. I have the 360 by 200 hoop. So we're going to go back to embroidery edit. Come down here, touch hoop options and 360 by 200. And go to stitch out. Just like that. So we're going to slide our hoop in and touch OK. Now what we're going to do, we're going to go back to precise positioning. And we're going to zoom in to our first point. So you can zoom into just the design, you can zoom into the whole hoop, or you can see all, or you can zoom into your specific point. Oh, no, I lost it. Hold on. And then you sometimes lose it. So we're going to come right back over here. Zoom into our point. So let's just worry about, so here's our little crosshatch right here. And I have that marking on my hoop right here, if you can see. Right there. It is a little bit easier to see the yellow on the black. But let's go ahead and just position in these 2 points right here. So come back over here. We're going to, again, we're on our flower, our step number 1. We want to move that cursor to the point. Once you get it roughly where you want it, you can, I got to scooch in here to see. I'm working behind the camera. Right there, exactly where we want it. I've got it on the little point of the diamond right there. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to step number 2. I'm on my hoop. So we're going to go over to our hoop now. I don't like how high this is. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm going to adjust this down just a little bit. Because it's like once I get it set, it wants to shift up just a little bit. Okay. So let me thread my needle. Get out of the way. So this is where it thinks it's out over here. We need to get it over here. So we're going to use the arrows. I'm going to show you. I'm using these arrows on my screen. And we're just scooching them over. And if you click and hold, it'll start to move a little bit quicker versus just touching it every single time and moving it. So we're going to come down a little bit more. I'm getting there almost. Once you get closer, you can just do the little click, click, clicks with your finger. Right about there. So there's our point number 1. And let's go ahead and get point number 2. It should be lined up, but just to be sure, we're going to go to step number 3. Let's back up and see our whole hoop. And move our cursor up here. So you see the little bullseye point right there. That's the one that I was talking about. It's going to pivot off of. So it will no longer move side to side or up and down in that way. It's going to actually pivot on that point, which is right there. So we're going to move this guy up, zoom in, and let's just get the bottom of this one right here. Or actually, you know what? Let's go ahead and do our crosshatch. So this one right over here, we can do it on that side. Look at that, I got that pretty close too. So My eyes with all these lights are hard to focus in on it. Okay, so now that we've done that, again, we're looking at our screen. Step number 3, our screen is our design. We're gonna come to step number 4, which now we're gonna go back over to our hoop. So right over here, and that's gonna be pretty close. Look at that, that's actually right in place. If I wanted to be a little particular about it, I could scooch that down just a little bit, but that's gonna be lined up right there. So once you get this set, we're gonna come over here and touch OK. And now we're gonna go stitch it out. Let's zoom back out so you can see our design right there. So with this one, there are 3 steps. So this first step is going to be our running tack down stitch. So we're gonna go ahead and run that one first. So we're just going to touch OK, or touch play, I should say. So it's doing that little tack down for the corner that it did up at the top as well. And then it's gonna come over here. And it's gonna do your tack down stitch. So it's basically like a double running stitch, back and forth here. And I just hold my material down, keeping it straight and smooth. And you notice that when I stopped up here, I just sort of went off at an angle. I didn't come back into it because I still need to have that material up here. So you just wanna go away from it where you're gonna cut it. So once it does that, we can then take our applique scissors and cut it. And I like to pull my hoop off. I don't like to cut with it on my machine. It's difficult. So again, I just cut down at an angle right here. And we're just gonna get close to those stitches without cutting those stitches and go all the way down. Any questions or anything like that while I'm cutting this?
Somebody just asked, should you change colors? Oops, I don't know if you can hear me. Meredith, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay, good. Someone just asked, should you?
What do you mean change colors?
I'm not actually sure. Judy, if you can, ask more.
I'm not sure, Andy. It was a little wonky. So I have yellow on here because yellow is what I did along my edge up here. And I have yellow in my bobbin as well, so that when I wash away my stabilizer, like I did on this one, it looks better to the eyes. Let me show y'all. Oh, right here. And I still have my stabilizer on the back side there. I just went along the edges really quick. But when this washes out, I still have that same color, so it looks good to the eye. Is that what you mean by switch colors? Let me know. So once you cut all of that off, so there's my little wavy right there, my little applique basically. I think we think sometimes appliques are like a whole piece, like a circle or a heart or something that goes all the way around. Appliques can also be like this along the edge of something where now we're sewing half on the fabric and half on the stabilizer. Lost my words. And I like to get with some of them. So this one right here, this is a really wide satin stitch. So it was super forgiving when I cut, but this one right here, you want to get as close as you can get without cutting those threads. So once you get that where you want it, we're going to go to step number 2, which is going to be the satin stitch now.
Okay, Meredith, she came back. I don't know if you can hear me. Okay, so she said, change the 3 colors to different colors so the colors don't continue. I think she means she says for the applique colors. So I'm wondering I'm thinking that Judy is saying on screen, like in the actual design itself, go into the layers or the color palette and actually change the color of each step.
Oh, okay. Yes, we can do that. Let me stitch this one out and then I'll go back and I'll show you how to do that. Let's get some of this going so you can see a little bit of it finished here. But it's super simple, very easy. not as complicated as it may look or intimidating to think about sewing and embroidering on and off of your fabric and on stabilizer as well. So now it's just going to go into that satin stitch. And it's going to go all the way down doing that satin stitch, and then it's going to stop, and I'm going to come back and put in my orange thread to do that next little embellish there. So let me let this stitch out right here. Let's see. It's going to take about 1 minute, so not too long. We'll let this part finish before I go back, and then I'll show you how to change those colors. There you go. Super simple and easy. Oh, wrong one. Here we go. Sorry, y'all. I was on the wrong camera. Almost done here. There we go. And if I wanted to, once I did that red part, I could definitely come down. And now it's going to do that second little crosshatch that I lined this one up with up here. You see that right there? So that if I did want to move this down and sew even further, I would just line up that next one right there. Nope, that one pulled my thread out there. So now it's back to doing that next part there. So let's come back over to our screen. And we're going to go back to embroidery edit. And we're going to touch our design right there. And here's going to be where your color options are. So within this design, there's 3 colorways. If I change to this first one, you wouldn't see it again because it's underneath number 2. So let's actually change number 2 to a yellow, which is what I used. You've got your little color wheel, and then you can move it around to what you want. So we're going to change that to a yellow. It's kind of hard to see the change there, but it did change. And then if we want to change that next one to an orange, right down here, come on, like that. Watch that next part change right there. So then our whole thing is colored right there. Good way. So that's how you would change the colors if you wanted to see what it would look like on the screen. And we can actually change our background color too. So let's make it black. Can I just make that right here? Oh, no, kind of here. So let's go to black. And then you can see a little bit more right there too now. So you can see there's my yellow, and there's my orange and what it's going to look like on the black. So I love that you can really visualize what it's going to look like finished on the screen if you wanted to. So any questions on any of that or anything that I can show you again that you would like to see again? I mean, it's really simple. That's really all there is to doing scalloped edges, the lace edge, sewing, things like that. Really simple and really easy. And I hope it came across that way so that you're excited to want to try it and put it on your next project. Any questions or anything like that, Amy, that I can answer?
I don't see any other questions, but you did answer Judy's question. So perfect.
Okay, good. Great. I call that a win for the day, Judy. Thank you. Well, if there's not anything else, I'm going to end it with that. We have our next PFAFF Live on, Amy, what's the date?
Should be Thursday, November 6th.
I know Mickey's doing it, but I just don't
November 6th.
Thursday, November 6th on this PFAFF page. He's going to be doing a Facebook Live. And, you know, Mickey's got great knowledge and information and lots of fun things to share as well. So you definitely don't want to miss that. But if you're watching this later or you came in late, again, feel free to add in those comments and questions, and we will circle back and get those answered for you. But thank you again for joining me today. And if you do any scalloped or lace edge things, I would love to see it. Feel free to send us pictures of those. We love show and tell. So thank you all very much, and I hope you have a great rest of your week.